What's up, hungry homies? Today I thought I would take you on a bit of a explanation on the types of things that I am buying pretty much weekly for my contest prep. Not only for just my contest prep, I also buy this pretty much throughout the year, and it's really just about the quantities that change. And I might do some meals with carbs, some meals without. But for now, this is kind of what a general haul of groceries will look like for the week for me. So I'm gonna start with the protein. My favorite protein source is probably my ground turkey. As you've seen in some of my other videos, I'm a bit of a frugal shopper, so I don't pay full price for things. So I will source the cheapest products, not so much quality, but the amounts. So the best deal for turkey that I have found in the city is just the tubes of uncooked ground turkey from Walmart. Now this turkey was also sold at, I think, No Frills at some point. However, I think they probably lost the right to it, but now we are having this turkey from Walmart. So it's probably not the leanest source as if you were to go to a butcher and get a breast of turkey and grind it up yourself. However, what I do is I actually rinse off the turkey once I've cooked it, just to help to get rid of a little of that extra fat. So that is my primary protein source. Next up, my absolute favorite and something that I can digest easily are my eggs. So I go through a lot of eggs. I have 8, sometimes 16 egg whites a day at the moment. So I go through almost a carton a day, a carton and a bit a day. The whites, it just sits really well with me. I used to eat the cartons of liquid egg whites. However, they got extremely expensive, as well as they were just causing me a little bit of tummy upset. So I switched to the whole eggs. Now, some people might think that it's a waste to chuck the yolk, and it is. So what I will do is I will sometimes make fresh mayonnaise, which, if you didn't know, you can easily just make mayonnaise with some olive oil, yolks. You can do a little mustard powder, a little paprika, and emulsion blender that up, and that's fine. I also will give it to my boyfriend, and I'll give it to my dog. So the eggs are an excellent source of protein. The egg whites, that is. Very bioavailable, meaning that your body can take and use a lot of that protein when you do consume it. So that's another excellent source. The months where maybe I'm trying to stay a little bit more budget friendly, I will do cans of tuna. I don't like to do more than a couple tins of tuna a week. I don't like the idea of eating too much food out of aluminum, so I limit myself to about 2 to 3 cans a week when I'm feeling the pinch of my budget. But that's a really good source. Even if you see them on sale, buy a whole bunch of them, because they're very shelf stable. So they're gonna stay in your shelf for the days that you need it. So that's a really good option too. Another source of protein, although it's not my favorite, is just a chicken breast. These ones are from Walmart again, and they're basically pre-cooked, pre-seasoned. The macros are actually pretty good. 2 grams of fat, 1 gram of carb, and 22 grams of protein for 9 strips, about 100 grams. So, I mean, it's a really good alternative if you're kind of, again, you don't have the time to cook a whole chicken breast. I actually give these and recommend these for a lot of my clients when they're kind of in that time pinch. So that's another one. I personally hate chicken, so I don't do too much of this, but again, when the price is right, I will sacrifice that for myself. Next up, carbohydrates. I usually keep, my preps are relatively lower carb. I've just always been that way, but some of my absolute go-tos are something like a big bag of rice, which will last me more than enough for the whole prep, if not the whole off season and prep, a full year. A whole bag of rice like this will last me a full year. In the off season, I'll eat more of it, and then come closer to show time, I'll probably only have a quarter cup, if less, depending on what coach is saying. But that's another pretty affordable carb that you can buy on the regular. Look for the deals, as again, it's gonna last forever. Another one I don't have any with me are sweet potato, as well as just your regular potato. Tossing that in the air fryer makes it really simple to have really quickly. If you like mashed potatoes, cool, but then you have to have all the other good stuff. I just like just to bake mine or air fry it. It's the simplest way. My absolute favorite are English muffins. I have them throughout my off season, throughout my prep season. I eat a ton of them on peak week. It's just a carb that sits really well with me. Me in particular, I have IBS, or irritable bowel syndrome. So for me, the more refined processed foods actually feels better on my system. So some people might be able to do brown rice. I can't, there's too much of a husk for that. Some people might be able to do like a whole grain. I can't. There's still just too much fiber for me. So more white and processed, the better for me. Just less irritation on my system, less bloating. And that's what you need when you're coming into show. You don't want that distended belly. Next up, kind of along the lines of rice, is basically just puffed rice. It's our rice cakes. So super plain, very boring. They do come in other flavors. I usually stick with either the plain or the buttered popcorn flavor, and they have 1 gram of fat, 15 grams of carbs for 2 of them, and 2 grams of protein. So they're pretty much just all carbs. There's nothing to it. There's half of fat per rice cake. So this is a really easy one. And if you aren't dieting, you can load them up with anything. If you're looking for a lower carb option, you can toss tuna on it. You can do peanut butter. You could do avocado. Sometimes I'll slice up my chicken breasts and put that on there for something different. But I just like the crunch and the texture. If you like styrofoam, this is your option here. Vegetables. I'm a big advocate of frozen vegetables. I find our produce right now in Canada, especially since we don't have sunshine or summertime all year round, you're not always gonna get the best quality vegetables. And as we all know, as prices skyrocket and grocery stores gouge us and profiteer off of us, we are not getting the best quality anymore, but we're paying a heck of a lot more for it. So unfortunately, your best option is to go with just a frozen vegetable. So there is nothing wrong with frozen vegetables. A lot of people think that they're lesser value. They're actually probably of better quality because they're picked immediately and then they're flash frozen. So all that nutrients gets trapped right within that vegetable right away, and then they're frozen, and then you just stuff them in your freezer, and that's that. Here's an example of what I do as well. So this was already a 50% off bag of green beans. They were on the tail end, that's why they're 50% off, but I immediately just threw them into the freezer, and I'm gonna treat them just like a fresh bag of vegetables. So pretty much the same thing. Green beans are usually my go-to when asparagus is on sale. We're coming into asparagus season right now as the weather gets really hot. But what I do is I'll buy a bunch of asparagus, and I'll chop it up really almost like bite size, and I'll chuck that immediately into my freezer so that I have a whole bunch of fresh vegetables ready to go when I need it. So as we all know, things don't always last when you buy them fresh, especially when you're on prep or trying to live a more healthier lifestyle. Eating your vegetables, you'd have to go through it very quickly. So best bet, freeze your vegetables. That's my best advice. Same with fruit. If you have, bananas that are going, either make banana bread or toss them in the freezer, and then you can toss them in your smoothies. Berries are good for that too. For condiments, my favorite condiment is the Sweet with Heat mustard. Great value. Walmart has this product, as well as President's Choice. I actively choose to not shop at President's Choice or the Atlantic Superstore. So I'll get the same product at Walmart, and this is just a spicy mustard. It's nothing special. 2 grams of carbs per teaspoon. So I probably use a little bit more, but I'm consistent with the amount that I use throughout the whole year, but that thing, I put that on everything. My other favorite condiment is a sugar-free or a no sugar added ketchup that I use. And I mostly just use that for my eggs, for my pre-workout. So nothing too fancy. Tomatoes in the front there. I just like sometimes just like a texture thing, tossing that in with the rest of my vegetables. I'll chop up some lettuce, make some shredded lettuce, and then my turkey, some tomato, and the mustard. And that is like my meal, sometimes 2 times a day. So those are some of the easier choices that I make when I am prepping. In the grand scheme of things, all I'm trying to do is when I talk about macros, this is what we're talking about. The macros are like the big ones, your proteins, your carbs, and your fats. Within those macronutrients, you want to look for things that have a good amount of micronutrients, so your vitamins and your minerals. So, you know, that's where your vegetables are going to come in. That's where, you know, tomatoes, that's where, you know, the yolks and the eggs, all those extra amino acids, vitamins, minerals come in. So when you're choosing foods, choose things that have a good variety of micronutrients, and then making sure you're hitting all your proteins, your carbs, and your fats. I know sometimes it feels daunting to choose protein sources. I know some women, a lot of women complain that they aren't able to get in enough protein. Another really easy source is a whey protein. So something that is high bioavailability. You know, you can pretend you're drinking a milkshake. You can add it into your Greek yogurt, you know, for a little bit of like a pudding feel. But there are many ways to getting protein into your diet. So just make sure that when you choose a variety of it, you won't get tired of anything. So that's kind of my best advice when you're choosing foods for your daily diet, in prep or not in prep. But guys, I really appreciate you following along with this video. If you have any questions about any of the things that I have here, or if I missed something, please comment below. In the meantime, make sure you're subscribing so you can see the rest of my prep during my 2025 competition season. Thanks, guys.